Welcome, my friends, to the next video in this series. We have an accepted offer on a house and we're ready to dig into the escrow period. And I couldn't be more excited. We're going to go through all the different steps of the escrow period, and there's all these little things. And this is one of the places where people still feel so confused about, what's this? What's that? What needs to happen here? How's it going to go? And we're just going to lay it out for you. We're going to help you to have an understanding of exactly what's going to happen in the escrow period, what each step is, so that you're not confused about it, so that you don't feel overwhelmed or any of that kind of things. We're not going to have any of that here. We're going to talk first about step 5, the inspection, which is one of the pieces of the escrow period, one of the early things you need to do in the escrow period. But first, as I promised at the end of video number 4, there's some housekeeping that we need to do right after you get an accepted offer. So you've made the offer with the contingencies. We can now put the check mark there. Hopefully you celebrated that accepted offer in whatever ways you celebrate and really enjoyed it. Now there's a couple of things that we need to do right away. And let's talk about those for just a second. So the first thing you need to do is tell your lender that it's go time. You got pre-approved for your mortgage, but you didn't have a house to connect it with at that point. So now you need to tell your lender, hey, that pre-approval I got from you? Well, I've got a house. I've got an accepted offer. We need to get the process moving. You want to get that process moving because the mortgage piece of the escrow period tends to take longer than anything else. So the faster you get that going, the quicker you can get everything taken care of. Make sure you have a closing date set, which is what the mortgage company will really control. It's all about how long it takes them to get all the things taken care of that they need to get taken care of to get that loan to you. So you want to tell your lender it's go time. You want to get an insurance quote. Now, step 6 in the New Home Buyer's Guide is all about insurance. And so you may want to go watch that one, but you want to get that insurance quote right now. So even before the inspection happens, you want to have the quote and you want to get the quote to your mortgage lender. I'll talk about that in the insurance video, but it's important just to throw it in here. Not sure what order to put the inspection or insurance. I decided inspection first, insurance second, but really you should probably watch both of these videos so you have a sense of what you need to do with insurance. And finally, you need to schedule that inspection. Sometimes scheduling is that is on you. And so oftentimes the realtor will help you with that. But, you need to get the inspection scheduled. You definitely want to do the inspection before the appraisal. We'll explain that a little bit in the appraisal video, but schedule that inspection, get it going right off. Okay, so once you have those 3 things done, then we'll be able to tell the mortgage lender it's go time, get the insurance quote and get that over to your mortgage lender, and then schedule that inspection. So we should have the first row completed. We're into the escrow period and we're digging right in. We're going to hop over to that second section in just a second. So what are we going to learn in this video about inspections? Well, you'll learn the inside scoop on why you should always get an inspection. Even if it's a new house, you should get an inspection. What the inspection day will be like, and finally what the inspection report will be like. But let's start, as always, with a fun fact. Only 29 states require home inspectors to be licensed. Well, that is maybe a not so fun fact because that means there's a lot of unlicensed home inspectors, which is normal because their states don't make them get licensed. But the point there is that you want to make sure that you have a reputable inspector who's actually going to do a great job. And if you're in a state where inspectors have to be licensed, then obviously having a licensed inspector is important. If you're not, then just having an inspector who has, is known in town. Some of the same things that I talked about with lenders and with realtors. Get a referral. Ask your realtor what inspectors they work with. Your realtor should definitely have some referrals, and maybe your friends and family do as well. So that was a fun fact. What is an inspection? I'm doing all this talking about inspection. What the heck is it? Well, a home inspection is when a licensed contractor, somebody who knows how to fix houses and knows how to look at houses, checks out every nook and cranny of your home for the purpose of helping you understand how healthy the house is. So, when you did your walkthrough, when you were looking at the house, you got a sense of what the house would feel like to live in. but you didn't get a sense of what the studs were like, whether it was plaster or drywall, whether the support joists in the floors are 12 inches apart or 16 inches apart, what kind of foundation it is, all this kind of stuff. And the inspector works for you, the buyer, giving you a comprehensive look at exactly what kind of house you're buying. So this is the key point where you're going to get a health inspection. It's like a doctor's visit where they're going to tell you all the details of the health of this house. Now, this is usually paid for by you, and it's worth every penny. In your offer, the inspection was a part of your offer. And oftentimes, almost every time, as your offer, you offer to pay for the inspection. That makes sense because it is for you. Could you ask the seller to pay for your inspection? You could, but a lot of sellers balk at that. So likely your realtor suggested that you pay for the inspection. And so that's what you will do at the closing. And that's perfectly fine. It is worth every penny. Absolutely. Okay. So why get an inspection? Well, let's face it, unless you are an inspector yourself, you simply don't know if there's bad stuff about the house that you're investing in. Again, all those different things you don't know. You don't know if it has mold, if it has termites, if it has water damage, bad structure, missing support, leaky roof, dead furnace, faulty breakers, cracked foundation, drafty windows, bad insulation, or old plumbing. You don't know about those kinds of things until you have an inspector come in. So don't worry about any of that stuff because you're going to have a reputable inspector come in and look for all of this. Then he or she will tell you what's going on. It'll be fine because you had an inspection. If you decide you don't want to have an inspection, it's $300 and you don't want to pay it or whatever it is, you're taking a huge risk of not knowing some major problem associated with something that you're investing probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in. So there's no reason to sacrifice having an inspection just to save a couple of bucks. You definitely want that to happen. You know, sometimes a seller will try and suggest that you don't have an inspection. And man, that is a huge red flag. That would happen in the offer stage where you make an offer contingent on inspection and they come back and say, no, we don't want it to be contingent on inspection. Super big red flag. So what to expect on inspection day? How's that going to look? Well, you should attend the inspection. You don't have to. You'll get a report from the inspection, but I would advise you to go to that inspection because you want to be there and ask questions and see what the person's looking at and just get a deeper sense of your home. You're about to live in this home or you're about to purchase this home as an investment, and you want to have a sense. Being there with the inspector is a great opportunity for you to ask questions that you have. And if anyone suggests that you don't go to the inspection, especially if the inspector suggests that you don't go to the inspection, that is a red flag. If an inspector doesn't want you there, that's a problem. So go to the inspection, don't stand behind them the whole time and follow them every single place necessarily, but be, a kind watcher of the process, ask respectful questions and get to know your house a little bit with the inspector. So that's a piece there. The seller really shouldn't be there. I don't see any reason for the seller to be at the inspection. This inspection is about you. It's about studying the house. It's about looking at exactly what it is. If a seller is trying to be there and trying to tell the inspector certain things, oh, well, that's not really what it seems, that's problematic because you're really hiring that inspector, and that inspector is there to explain things to you from an unbiased perspective. So really, the seller should not be present. But like I said, follow the inspector through the house. Be respectful, but let him or her show you the property that you're investing in. After inspection day, you're going to get a report, but you're not going to get that report right away. And you need to understand that, and that the inspector has to write it up at a later time. So don't expect that you're going to walk away from inspection day with a report in your hand. That if the inspector is a good inspector, they're going to take time to create that inspection report with pictures and all kinds of stuff. And so they need time to do that, and you've got to know that going in. So what to expect from the What to expect from the What to expect from the inspection report. Say that 10 times fast. What to expect from the inspection report. Well, let's look at it. Usually the inspection report scares you to death. It really does. My first inspection report, well, someone told me ahead of time. That was one thing. I didn't get told very many of the things I'm telling you when I bought my first house, but this is one thing that someone did tell me, so it wasn't quite so scary. But it will have so much stuff in it. No problem. Just be prepared. There's going to be a lot of things in it. That is totally okay. All houses have problems. And older houses, if you made an offer on an older house, they're going to have tons of things. And it's perfectly normal. Houses have lots of things. And if you have a good inspector, they're going to point out all of those things. They're going to point out the stuff that's easy to fix. They're going to point out the stuff that all old houses have. They're going to point out lots of stuff. And if you're not prepared for that, it can feel like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What am I getting into? Don't worry so much about all the things. There's lots of things that are problems. There's even problems with brand new built houses. It's just a normal part of an inspection. They want to point out the stuff that could be small, could be medium, could be bigger. They're going to point out all of it. What you're looking for are major red flags. A good inspector will explain the report and point out any major issues. So they're going to lay out, okay, here's all this stuff that could be fixed about your house. But here are the things that I think are the most major. Maybe that's a foundation problem. Maybe that's a joist problem, the support system for your floors. Maybe there's some kind of problem with the roof or structure of the roofing. Those would be more major red flag problems, and we have, some of them here. So if there are major issues, it's still okay. That's why you included the inspection contingency in your offer agreement. Exactly why you said, hey, this offer is contingent on the inspection, because if there are major issues, you can still address them. And, this is how we can address them. Here are some of your options. So your options are, hey, I'm going to decide to fix the issues after closing. They're on me. And really, honestly, most of the inspection report will probably be that. The medium things, the small things, just little stuff. It's part of the house. You're going to have to fix that. You really can't expect the seller to fix every single thing about the house, and the seller won't do that. So you could decide to fix the issues after closing, and even the red flag issues, you could decide to do that. Another option is you could amend the purchase offer, asking the seller to fix the issue prior to closing. This happens with roofs a lot, where the roof is really old, and the inspection shows that the roof is really old and shingles are, getting crusty and all this kind of stuff. And so the buyer amends the purchase agreement to say, before closing, there needs to be a new roof on this house. And the seller agrees to that. So that's one option, is to amend the purchase offer, asking the seller to address the issue. My mother and father-in-law just sold a house, and the furnace was a problem. And so they were inside of the escrow period, and the furnace was found to be older or not working quite as well. And they ended up having to spend, a few $1,000s to put in a brand new furnace, get it all cleaned out, so that they could go ahead and sell that house. The buyer amended the purchase offer, and they agreed as the sellers to fix the problem before closing. And finally, you could, or not finally, there's two more things. You could amend the purchase offer, asking the seller to lower the purchase price to account for needed repairs. So in either of those situations, instead of having to replace the furnace or replace the roof, the buyer could say, well, look, you don't have to replace the furnace. You don't have to replace the roof. But I offered $200,000 for the house. It's going to cost $10,000 to replace the roof. And so I'm amending my purchase offer to $190,000. You lower your purchase offer to make up for the cost that you are going to ultimately have to incur to fix that red flag issue. So that's another thing you could do. Or finally, you could leave the deal altogether, citing the issues with the inspection. you usually will lose your earnest money in that scenario. And you certainly can't leave deals for medium or small things. It just doesn't work that way. But if there are major red flag issues and you realize that the house is not in a healthy state, that there are major problems with the foundation or something like that, and they are not really fixable, you certainly have the right, based on the contingency on your offer, to pull out at that point and move on to looking for a different house. So those are the different options that you could go through with the inspection report. Once the inspection has been addressed, it's another time to celebrate, because this is a big part. The inspections can create a lot of holdup in the process and can create some friction sometimes between the buyer and the seller. So once everything has been addressed, you can celebrate, because either you cleared this huge hurdle or you dodged a bullet and you didn't end up buying that house because there was some major problem. And either way, you should celebrate, because either one of those two things is great. So once that inspection is addressed, definitely celebrate. So the rookie mistake here is not ordering the inspection, not going to the inspection, or not taking the inspection report seriously. All of those things are important parts of the process. If you're not doing them, you're making a rookie mistake. Obviously, with the inspection report, you don't want to take it too seriously. You don't want to let it freak you out or anything like that for the small stuff, but you want to take the red flags seriously. So a rookie mistake, not doing those things. All right, what did we learn in this video? Well, you got the inside scoop on why you should always get an inspection, inspection day, and the report itself. The next video, step 6, is insurance, something I know a little bit about as an independent insurance agent. I'm going to walk you quickly through the insurance piece, the homeowner's insurance, and how the process works in association with the closing process. So I'll walk through all those things with you pretty quickly. It's now time to head over to the Facebook group and share how you're feeling. I would love to hear your inspection stories. What was crazy? What was scary? What was the wildest thing that happened? All those kinds of stories. Go over to the Facebook group, tell them to us. Tell us what you're surprised about, confused about, what you wonder. We're over there and ready to answer your questions. All right, the next one is insurance, and I'll see you over there. Until the next time, have a wonderful day.